So, welcome to Acrobatiq's Probability and Statistics and Statistical Reasoning Intelligent Courseware walkthrough. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Acrobatiq, the company. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Acrobatiq's approach to intelligent courseware, the statistics curricula in particular, and we'll follow up with a Q&A session. I hope you guys will use the question field to send your questions in. We're going to keep participants' microphones off to prevent any stepping on toes. So let's talk about what Acrobatiq is. Acrobatiq is a new company. It's a spin-out from CMU's Open Learning Initiative, owned by Carnegie Mellon. And OLI, Open Learning Initiative, was formed in 2001 as a research project to answer the question of whether we can material can be taught in a digital environment with the same or better results than a traditional classroom for presumably a lower cost because it's digital. And the answer, as you may have guessed, is a resounding yes. You can find the results of independent studies on our evidence page on the Acrobatiq website, and hope you'll head over there after the webinar today. So in order for CMU to be able to scale and sustain OLI's good work, Acrobatiq was created to harness the convergence of three of CMU's historical strong points: cognitive science, human-computer interaction, and cutting-edge technology development, which is what made OLI's results so compelling, and now Acrobatiq's results. And so from here we want to ask ourselves, as we find ourselves deeply immersed in the digital revolution, how we can make faculty's job easier, how we can take this technology and complement the instructor. How can we benefit students? How can we benefit the instructor? Well, the answer is intelligent courseware. Intelligent courseware is our take on an all-in-one textbook replacement, but not a faculty replacement. We want to make sure that it's very clear that this is intended to be a tool in the faculty's toolbox. It's not a faculty replacement. Much like a textbook, you'll find expository text and media, but unlike a textbook, you'll find lots of features integrated. Features like a gradebook, the learning dashboard where the class's measured learning is visualized with certainty and confidence, and myriad other tools and features that help you and your learners through the process. All these features, which comprise much more than a simple textbook, come at a far lower cost than a typical textbook. And together they measurably improve the student's learning, they complement you as the instructor and make your job easier, and they save you time. So what's Acrobatiq's approach to creating intelligent courseware? What sets us apart? Well, to do that, to look at that, we need to see what others are doing. The typical approach is for a publisher to take a deductive approach, where they will digitize a textbook and slap it online, and then they will measure student engagement. They'll record how long a student was in a particular area, what they clicked on, how long they stayed, what their answers were maybe on an exercise. But all of this tends to be quite superficial and doesn't give you a real view of the student's actual learning, really just their interaction with the delivery itself. Whereas at Acrobatiq, what we've done is we've taken an inductive approach. We've used our history in cognitive science and technology and human-computer interaction that I mentioned earlier, and used it to create an environment where we can measure the students' learning through their interaction with the materials. And instead of teasing it out at the end, what we do is we bake it in during the development so that each interaction that the student has with the material in some way can help measure the student's understanding. Here's our course design triangle. We start with these student-centered learning objectives. They're all measurable, and we design world-class content and practice exercises to teach to those learning objectives and help to measure them so that we can follow whether the students are meeting the objectives. And then we follow up with assessments that also measure the learning and help you understand where your students fall in comparison to meeting the learning objectives. Here we have a little video, a demonstration of what our adaptivities look like. These are the practice exercises you'll find throughout all of the courseware at Acrobatiq. They incorporate things like hints and immediate targeted feedback to help reinforce the student's understanding of the concepts that they're learning and then acting upon in the activity. The targeted feedback, of course, is meant to reinforce it much better than a delayed reaction or response would be from faculty or TA. And the design of the targeted feedback is meant to help with the student's metacognition. It helps the learning engineers and the subject matter experts that design each one of these courses understand what the students' common misconceptions are. And they write the questions and answers and the feedback to anticipate where the students are going to run into problems, most likely. And so what you can do is you can help with a sort of guided discovery for the student that's far more effective than simply reading through material like a textbook. The student can make continuous attempts because this is meant to be a safe practice environment, so the student can try all of the answers and read all of the feedback, get all of the hints if they like. And in this way, as a student understands his or her own level of understanding of the concept, the student can adapt their own learning to their own needs. They can continue with further practice. They can move on if they feel like they understand the concepts. Now, all of the data that's collected in these practice activities, these adaptivities, is visualized in the learning dashboard, which you can see here. This is from the Probability and Statistics course, Module 6. And you can see these colored bands, which are meant to represent the class's overall aggregate understanding of the concepts. Green is a high estimated learning of the concept. Yellow and red are moderate and low, and gray is meant to show where there hasn't been enough interactivity to make a confident measurement yet. So what you can do as an instructor is take a look at the learning dashboard, maybe the morning before your lecture, and see where the material that you assigned that week has been finished by your class. And everywhere that you find, for instance here, finding the probability of events in the case in which all outcomes are equally likely, you can see that your class really struggled with this concept. And where you might normally intend to spend the entire week or the entire lecture covering all 4 of these learning objectives, now you know that you really need to focus on this second learning objective, maybe a little bit on the third one to help your students along. You can save yourself time this way. You can focus and help improve their outcomes by giving them the help exactly where they need it. So the statistics courseware in particular includes two packages. We have probability and statistics and statistical reasoning. They each feature 4 units: exploratory data analysis, producing data, probability, and inference. And of course, I'm sure you want to know where they differ. Where they differ is Unit 3, probability. In probability and statistics, we find a more classical treatment of probability. It goes far more in depth than Unit 3 in statistical reasoning, where there's a less vigorous treatment of probability. In probability and statistics, you'll find these concepts: the basic probability principles, conditional probability, discrete random variables, and continuous random variables. These concepts are really touched on at a very high level in statistical reasoning instead, where the unit is used to set up the inference unit later. So another difference is because of the depth and the quantity of the material in the probability and statistics unit 3, you'll find more checkpoints as well. So this is how the two differ. In every other way, they are identical curricula. The main lab exercise in StatTutor, in the statistics courses, is called StatTutor. This is where your students, after gaining their knowledge and their skills, put that knowledge, those knowledge, and those skills into practice. Here's an example of what a StatTutor looks like. You have your problem, your questions, and your variables, all of which will apply to the questions that get asked of the student later. Here you can see where the student is to check the data format, download a data set to use in whatever package whatever statistical tool you require them to use. They open it up and they can see and manipulate the data and use it to answer the questions and progress through the StatTutor exercise. Other features you'll find in the statistics curricula are My Response, where a student reflects on his or her comfort with the material and reports back to you, giving you firsthand feedback so that you can understand where they feel they are, where they have a grasp and where they are failing. Checkpoints. There are 1 to 4 per module. That's dependent on which course you're using, either probability and statistics or statistical reasoning. Each of them reports to the gradebook and to the learning dashboard and contributes to the model that displays how much understanding your class can exhibit. And you'll also find instructor resources, including a comprehensive list of the learning objectives in case you need to reference them or discuss them with your colleagues, and a checkpoint solution set for each of the checkpoints. So let's talk briefly about how Acrobatiq can save you time as an instructor. First of all, we've got our adaptivities and StatTutor exercises, which are just like having a virtual tutor. It's like having a tutor standing over the shoulder of your students and giving them advice when they stumble, helping them find the correct answer, and then reporting back to you what they do and don't know. This is all extraordinarily helpful information that you could not get from a textbook and you simply can't get in the same way from other online materials. Automatic grading, this one speaks for itself. And you can focus your time, like I mentioned before, when you use the learning dashboard to help understand where your students are failing and where you don't need to spend extra time because the students have a firm grasp of the concepts. And in the end, this helps you be more productive and focus your efforts a lot more effectively. And so that brings us to the end. Well, I'll just leave this up for now so that in case you folks want to record the website and the email address. And we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Janet, I'm sorry, everybody. Because the questions are not visible to all users and they're not part of the recording, I'm going to dictate each one before I answer them. Question here states, I've used CMU's OLI courses and I'm familiar with the specific stats courses. How is this different? Is it just making it more widely available? Well, the material itself is not substantively changing. We're going to have bug fixes and we're going to have error fixes and we're going to add some video walkthroughs and other clarifying material. But the material largely is going to stay the same. The big difference lies in the technology. If you saw that StatTutor, you realize that it's different from the old technology, which was Flash-based. And all the learn by doing and did I get this activities, along with the StatTutors, which are in Flash in the OLI version, are no longer going to be in Flash in the Acrobatiq version. And that affords your students the ability to use statistics on an iPad, on a Galaxy Note or on a Galaxy tablet, and it's going to be much more mobile friendly and more accessible because of the removal of Flash and the inclusion of HTML in its place. The cost per student is going to be $99. We have availability starting in the spring. Right now, nothing is available because we're undergoing all the transitions that I just described with the technology. The $99 price point is designed to be far lower than any textbook, especially considering that it's an all-in-one solution and you don't need to go out and collect materials from all over the web or from several different publishers. Happy to answer any other questions if you folks have any. All right. Well, I did anticipate far more questions. Aha. Have the free response questions format changed? The students could type in junk and just see the answer. Well, no, they haven't changed because they are designed to be. I assume you're referring to the submit and respond model, in which because all of the learn by doing and did I get this, and even stat tutor activities are designed to be practice activities. We want students to feel free to fail in them, and so what we want the text and to a greater extent the instructors to reinforce is or to encourage is for students to go ahead and do their best with the answers, go ahead and click a submission, the submission button, and then see what the expert answer is, and then compare the two to help them understand where they whether they understood it or why they didn't. This can also open up a dialogue with the instructor. Okay, so I'll wait a little bit longer to make sure that that nobody is typing in any questions, but it looks like we've come to the end of the Q&A portion of today's webinar. Janet, this is not available this moment. It'll be available for use in January, however. We're going to make the course builder available in December so that you can set it up and tailor it however you see fit for January. Part of the expanded offerings at Acrobatiq includes concierge support services. So I'm going to handle any special requests that instructors have. So if you need help in any way, on any level, I'm going to help facilitate that. For instance, if you shoot me an email on December 15th and tell me that you want your course built to your specifications, I'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Let's say you find an error in one of the checkpoints and you want all the students to get credit for that question. I can go ahead and either take care of that for you, or I can walk you through how to take care of it yourself. It's meant to be a white glove concierge service, and that's the kind of thing that we're going to be adding to the suite of features available as an Acrobatiq user. Any other questions, folks? You guys are a great crowd today. This was an easy one, but I really appreciate you all showing up. So, like I mentioned earlier, this session was recorded, and following the completion of the webinar today, we're going to save this recording, and we're going to send out emails to everybody who showed up with more resources and a link to the recording and to the slide deck for today's demonstration. So if nobody else has any more questions, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar now. I'll wait a few more seconds for anybody else's stuff to come through. Fantastic. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. I really appreciate you coming today. Please feel free to get in touch with me at the email address above, or visit our website. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. This is, answering your questions and making sure that you have all the information and tools you need is my job. And I want to help you through the process. So let me know however I can help. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming today.